Oh, hey guys. Today we're going to do a CPU clean and add new thermal paste to for this client here. He didn't feel comfortable doing it himself, so he had actually asked me to do it for him. So, and this is how he actually brought the system to me without the top panel. And so with this panel here, there's usually, with this, a lot of Lenovo models, it's either a release, latch that slides over to the right or to the left back here, or sometimes you have to squeeze a button here, towards the inside and one on this here just to release the tabs. Sometimes it's actually in the front here also, which I think this one here looks like it's in the front because there's two sections here that looks like they were release tabs. So he probably released it from the front. But just it's very simple. I'm pretty sure you guys can figure it out. But this is how the client had brought it to me. So and we'll have to start from there. And if you look at it here, this is slightly behind the front face of the desktop, and this is a small form factor, a desktop. And the model, I think I did give it to you guys. It's the MT-M5536-A76. And if you look at it here carefully, sorry, I kind of went ahead of you guys here. So going back to the front part of the desktop here, you will notice right on top. Once you remove your top panel, you will see that there's three tabs here: one, two, and three. And all you have to do is just look at my picture here. All you have to do is just lift it from underneath, and then it will actually release itself from the front end. And do the same with the other two. And once you've done the three tabs the same way, this is how it's going to come apart. All you have to do is just lift it towards you, pull it towards you, and then it will actually just come right out. The bottom ones there, they're just literally just seated inside of three holes, one, two, and three, and it'll come off very easily. And as you can see here, his front cooling area here it's also a little bit dirty. So I would suggest if you want to clean that very easily and quickly, instead of using a Q-tip or something, just get a nice, like a single piece of a paper towel and just very lightly dampen that towel with a little bit of water, and then you can just wipe it down. By having it damp, it allows you to collect the dust without a lot of that dust falling off, and the paper towel will actually collect it. And that's what I do usually with areas like this. Taking a Q-tip is going to take you a long time, but a paper towel is going to be like about 3 to 4 swipes, and that's it. It's completely clean. So just remember that. Just lightly dampen the a paper towel, like fold it into about 4 pieces if you can, because you don't need like a large cleaning service. You want something about the same size as this perforated area here, and then just wipe it down with a lightly damp towel, and then it's easy to clean that way. So don't use a Q-tip. If you want to, you can use a Q-tip. It's just you'll have to add a little bit of water to, and then you just have to collect it that way too. It's just going to take a lot longer to clean with a Q-tip as opposed to a paper towel. So once you've done that, all you have to do is once you remove the front face here, all you have to do is now we're looking at from the top end of it because you just removed the front face of the Lenovo desktop, and all you have to do is just put your hand in the middle and then just lift this upwards towards you, right straight up, and this is how it's going to look like from the corner here. And as you can see, there's the thermal case fan here that I would suggest cleaning also. If you have a compressed air can, that's probably the easiest way. Just take it outside, blow the crap out of it a couple times, and you'll have it nice and clean. But if you don't have a compressed air at home, then this is the section here I would probably suggest using a Q-tip, especially to clean these area here because they're angled and stuff with the blades. So by using a paper towel it's not really going to be that easy to clean. But if you have a Q-tip, just go use about half a dozen Q-tips. You should be good to go because it's not that dirty. It's very simple to clean. I'm pretty sure that about 3 to 6 Q-tips will actually get the job finished for you. And then this is the other part here, and this is me looking down on the heatsink for the CPU, and there's a screw here on the top right, one at the bottom right, and then obviously here top left and bottom left. And just once you remove that, it's very simple. Just remove that, and then the 4 screws, and then just easily you can just lift it away from the motherboard. And here I'll rotate this here so that you guys can see it better. So as you can see here, the processor is right there, and then you just simply, once you've unscrewed these 4 screws here, because it'll actually stay on the heatsink. Just once you unscrew these 1, 2, 3, and 4, just lift it away, and then that's how it's going to look like here. And I'll give you a closer picture of how the CPU looks like, and I'll rotate this one here too, so you get a better visual image of it. And as you can see here, I forgot to take a picture of how it looked like underneath the heatsink, but as you can see, most of it was still on the heatsink, and when I looked at it, it was completely caked on. It was completely dried up. It wasn't even like runny or wet or anything. And this one here, again, if you want to just clean it easy, you can use a Q-tip or just use a paper towel. Do not put water on the paper towel. Just use a dry paper towel and then just wipe it off. It'll come right off. And that's what I did. But you can use a Q-tip for this also because it will pick it up. But this was caked so hard, actually using a paper towel was a better idea. And to reapply the thermal paste, this is why I kind of ran out of thermal paste. I'm just finishing this off after I've actually completed it. So I had to go back out and get some more thermal paste. I forgot I gave it to one of my techs to use the rest of what I had, because I don't really do a lot of thermal paste applications, to be honest with you. It's not too often that you should have to do this, but this is a very, very old model, and once in a while you should do this. So if I basically just edit this with Windows Paint just to show you where you can actually put the thermal paste when you're putting in the new one after you clean the old thermal paste off of your processor, because it should look clean like this section here. So once you remove all of the old thermal paste, you would actually just put just a small dab. You don't need to put a lot because a little bit goes a long way. So just put one in the middle, a tiny dot on the corners here, as you can see, and then that's all you have to do. Put your heatsink back on, and screw it back into where it belongs to. Is very easy to position yourself, because once you know that you start twisting it. Just a good thing to remember is that when you're screwing your heatsink back on, just make sure that you don't over torque it, because once you have this precision in the holes here, as you can look carefully here, I can show you at least two. This one here goes into this bottom left. This one goes in the bottom right here, and then there's also one here, and then there's one at the top left. So once you have one in, I would suggest doing one at the bottom left and one at the top right, because once you've done that, you know that the other top left and the bottom right will actually match in order. And don't tighten them all the way yet. Just get them all threaded in there, at least about 3 or 4 turns, and then you can just finish off the rest. But just remember, when you are tightening these screws, do not over torque. Once you feel resistance against you, just keep churning until you just can't churn anymore, and do not churn it beyond that point. And that's just a good thing to remember. And as for the thermal case fan that was here in the front, like what I showed you in another picture here, as you can see here, it looks a lot dirtier in this picture here. So just remember to use a Q-tip to clean all of the areas here, because you can easily put your finger on this and then just run your Q-tip like that. And then, or like I said, or you can use a compressed air can, which will easily clean this much quicker, in about literally seconds. So I would suggest, if you don't want to take the time or don't have the time to want to put into this to clean this section here, because you got to clean the other side too, right? The front end of this, because this is the inside of the thermal case fan. So I would suggest getting a compressed air can and just blowing the crap out of this inside, in the front and the inside, outside somewhere, not in the house, because it'll be very dirty. And once you've done that, just push the front end back down until it goes right parallel to the motherboard, and put your face plate back in there. So remember, when you're putting the face plate back in, just make sure that these tabs here, there's one here, there's one there, as you can see, there's one here. Just make sure that it goes back into the hole where it belongs. Once it goes in there, you just push the top end last, and then you can hear it clip back into these three holes here. As once you've done that, I did notice with this system here, I knew it was a processor, because one of the main key problems I noticed when I actually plugged it in, it was within minutes. I noticed the heatsink was so heavy, because when the customer was telling me that he was noticing that his YouTube videos weren't playing properly, it was just glitching out. It was taking a long time for it to render. It kept dropping to a 360p. So that's why I was running. Because he told me that this video card is capable of playing 4K videos, and that's why he bought the video card for this small form factor desktop, because it was capable of doing 4K without any issues. But he couldn't even run this at 1080p or 720p or 640p. It kept dropping to the 360, I think it was. I think that's the lowest for YouTube. And my first thought was, I actually thought it was the video card, but it wasn't. But when I put my hand on the heatsink was so hot. I couldn't even actually keep my finger on it. That's how hot it was. So I was just really hoping that he didn't do damage to his processor, because it was running that hot. And it's just, and all he needed was just a thermal paste. Because once I put the thermal paste back in, you close it all up, you plug it back in. I ran the test for about 2 hours, just running 4K videos on YouTube, and it never glitched out. It stayed at the 4K quality, and that was that. The last thing you want to do is, assuming that you you thought you fixed the issue by running it for about a 5 or 10 minute video. You don't want to do that because sometimes with with CPU, sometimes it can take a half an hour to an hour to run into issues. Not usually that long, because we know that in this situation here, he couldn't even run it for a couple of minutes because it was overheating that fast. So I knew that if it was going to run for an hour, 2 hours, I knew that the problem would have been resolved by just adding new thermal paste and cleaning out the old one before you put in the new one. So I mean, if you guys are noticing that too, usually when you're having rendering issues with the graphics, it's usually either the processor or either the video card. Using this case here, like I mentioned, I actually thought it was the video card, because when the resolution drops that low to a 360, my first guess was the video card, and this was actually wrong. It was actually the processor. His low profile video card was working perfectly fine, and it's an awesome card. He actually said he paid pretty good money for that bloody card. I think he said he paid like $175 for that card. So but it does 4K, on a small form factor case, because it's really tough to find a 4K capable video card that can run 4K nonstop. With a small heatsink, and that's all it's running. It literally runs silent. There's it's not a powered fan or anything. It's actually just it's just it doesn't require additional cables to power up the video card. It just plugs into the PCIe slot, and there it goes. And the system runs perfectly fine when I was testing it. So I mean, I hope that this helps you guys out. And please like the video, comment if you have any questions or anything. If that didn't fix your issue, just remember, if the CPU, by adding the thermal paste for this model here, didn't fix the issue, chances are you actually have a video card issue. So just remember that, right? And for this model here, there's no way in hell you guys are going to be able to run like a 4K on the integrated video card that's built on this motherboard. You might be lucky at 1080p. It'll probably glitch on that, but get yourself a 4K, low profile video card, and you guys will be good to go. Have a good weekend, guys, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Thanks.